Sure could use a little good news today. So, oi, what a day I had today. So let me share something spectacular with you. Um, so those of you that follow me know that I'm crazy about following signs. That's my spirit guide. That's how my spirit guides teach me, is by I'm like a little Sandra Holmes, and every day I've got to just like look for all the signs and then follow that breadcrumb trail. Um, and so 2 days ago, I went on Nextdoor and I saw that, and I never go on Nextdoor these days. I just am, for whatever reason, I just don't. It was amazing in its heyday, and but I'm focusing on other things right now. So I found out that they were going to have the Angelversary for the two Westlake boys that were killed a year ago with their parents. They were just crossing the street, and I don't know if the whole family was there or if it was just the parents and the boys, and a woman who has, at first I thought it was a hit and run, and then come to find out it's the wife of some very important philanthropist. And there was talk about that, well, there wasn't talk, she actually left the scene of the crime when her car mysteriously stopped running. They found her. So I don't know anything. That's just what the papers said. But so two brothers, actually, she hit them both and killed them both, Jacob and Mark Iskander. And I think it was pretty, I don't remember the details, so I don't know if it was an immediate or if, I don't remember. All I know was that it was a heartbreaking story a year ago, and I remember it because, you know, as a parent, you don't ever want to have to even think about one, let alone two, right in front of your eyes. Just one moment they're playing, scootering or bicycling or whatever, they were all crossing the street. And the next moment, right. Oh. Life is hard enough when it's fair. Life it's hard enough when there's nobody to blame. And so, anyways, I remember reading about this story. And, you know, the fact that I guess it got such global attention was because of the perpetrator. Anyways, when I was on Nextdoor a couple days ago, I saw that they had posted that there was going to be a Angelversary on the day that they left this earth. And I knew I had to be there. I didn't know how, I didn't know why. I just knew that this was a sign. And it's one of those signs where it's like, what? You know, initially it's sort of like, oh boy, you know, the mom, Nancy Iskander. posted this on Point Doom Nextdoor. Well, that's the Nextdoor account. Because she knew that the people of Westlake and people in Malibu also, she was friends with and knew the story personally. And so she wanted to give the private details of the Angelversary, that their church, Ascension Lutheran Church, where the boys went to school also, they were having an Angelversary today. And the way that the post read was that it said where on campus the memorial garden was, and it was right next to a big oak tree. And they said that there was going to be a memorial service at 6 o'clock p.m., but that throughout the day, if people wanted to come and bring flowers or write a note or just sit in silence, that they could do that throughout the day. And so when I knew that Spirit was guiding me to go, and I knew I had to go. So it's one of those situations where it's like, oh my God, the mind is sort of like, you don't know these boys, you don't know these parents, this is not your community, you're from Topanga, that's not Westlake, even though it's in the same, jurisdiction. Everybody knows Topanga Canyon. But why would you, how strange is that? It's like crashing a funeral or something. But the only thing I could think of initially was that my spirit teachers were wanting to teach me about that Mary, Mother of Jesus, times 2 kind of suffering, any mother understands the idea of I realized early on that was my superhuman power, is my love for my children, Adam and Eva. Adam, with David Lynch. Adam went through David's master's program in film production at MUM. It was his second year to go through. He got to meet David and Jim Carrey. That was very exciting. Anyways, as a parent, you not only would do anything ever for your child, but the idea of anything ever happening, like when they're sick, when they're little, it's just like, you can't even, even if they have the smallest sniffle or, well, not the smallest sniffle, but if they have the fever or something, it's just like your brain automatically just sort of goes into that dark place, like, oh my God, what if they're dying? You just don't ever release that bond. So the idea that firstly, Spirit may have been wanting me to tap into that, like firsthand, precious babes, brothers. Oh my God, brothers. you know, that, I mean, that, I embarked upon my spiritual quest for two different reasons. One was because once I gave birth to my children, I knew I would just lose it. I mean, it would just, you'd have to bury me if anything happened to my children. And so I needed to understand, you know, I needed to have a grasp on the other side. So if anything ever happened to them, I could, you know, be efficient. I could be like, okay, you know, God, you know, my heart's breaking, but I can still see you, or I can still hear you, and I know you're there, and, you know, we still have this bond, and blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, the fantastical part of my mind was just like, you know, you feel so powerless when that realization sort of sinks down into your darkest place, you know. There's no guarantees in your own life, and there's something about having children that is worse, you know. It like, whatever happens to me is like whatever, but whatever happens to my kids, you know, like their pain and heartbreak and struggles and loneliness and, you know, all this stuff is just like, you know. Mine is just like, you know, I'll figure it out. It's all like whatever. You know, I may wind up homeless and penniless and jobless and all that, but, you know, I'll figure it out. But if something like that happens to your kids and you know that they're, you know, oh my God, they're sad or they're lonely or they're hurt, you know, their heart is breaking, or they're feeling frustrated, you know, they're not in their career where they wanted to be in their career, and they're, you know, comparing themselves to who knows who, and you're like, don't do that, don't you know how amazing you are? Don't you know how far you've come? Can't you see what I've seen? Anyways, so that's the first reason, was because you don't ever want to think that your kids could leave this earth before you. In fact, my dad said that to me. Maybe even the last day, his last day on earth, maybe. One of those last days, he said, I just thank God I'm going before you and your sisters. My dad was not a sentimental man, so that sort of surprised me that he said that. Anyways, my dad just died in July. Big story there. Big story I haven't been able to share. I'd love to. That was a hard day, the day that he died. I got, well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. Anyways, so the other reason was I saw an angel in my room, floating above the bed, above my husband's sleeping body, about 25 years ago, something like that, 26 years ago. And I was like, what was that? Oh my God. So I was just like, there's like this, you know, oh my God, okay, I know there's more, you know. I know there's more than just like this programming and what everybody's telling me. So just catapulted me, you know, into this hunger. Anyways, there's so much in between that moment and this moment, but that's pretty much, I have been on a non-stop quest for 26 years. You know, probably 20 years with no outside influences, just me hearing whatever it is that I needed to learn about, I could hear the answers. So, anyways, a year in April, I was pandemically unemployed. And so I knew that while I was looking for work, I would, have a lot of free time. I didn't know how long that was going to be, but I intended to, make the most of a bad situation. It was scary for me, not knowing my money would run out and how I was going to provide for myself. And, at the time I had a doctor boyfriend who was also my fiance, who was an ER physician. And so just the idea of him contracting COVID, let alone me contracting COVID, was that was very scary. But I wasn't really that scared. I just pretty much, you just take it all as it comes. But anyways, him and I broke up that June, so June of 2020. And so that was really hard, but I trust in the process. And so I just pretty much, just threw myself into learning my spirituality. And lo and behold, I came across my purpose, my destiny. Oh my gosh, And I didn't know what it was, but I knew that before it was going to be, these are these woo-woo kind of things, of this knowingness without any narration, So it's almost like you sort of understand a piece of the puzzle without even being able to see what the puzzle is. So it's very abstract. Anyways, I guess that's, it doesn't matter. The conscious brain doesn't matter. What matters is what moves you and what resonates. It's sort of like you know what that next step is. It's all you need to know, just what the next step is. You don't have to know anything else. And so I committed to the fact that I had to put my destiny, whatever it was, above being a mom. Because at that point, being a mom just jumped to the top of the line, the highest part of the food chain. And I knew that my kids were grown and they were, actively working towards their passions. They both had passions, career passions. So, oh my gosh, when you know that your kids are working towards that and, have known, you that's the hardest part. They got the memo early in life. And so, you know that they're on the track. They're on that river of life. So they don't really need me, and I'm like on call all the time, always ready to when in fact they can handle things on their own, and even at some point, if I were to leave this earth, with the whole COVID stuff happening at that time, it was like you never know what the next day was going to be. It was such a strange world. Oh my gosh, with the Trump administration. Oh my God, I didn't even know. Anyways, excuse me, it's been one of those days. Good day. And so I had that talk with my daughter. I said to her, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I have to commit to this. And that means you and Adam will be second. My destiny, my purpose will be the most important thing. my life. I knew it was going to be something important, or at least that's what I felt like it was going to be. Obviously, there's a part of me that thinks, oh, delusional or whatever. But, if you believe it, then that's the best thing there is, because then all these endorphins, are getting flooded. And you're happy, because you feel like you're working towards something important and big. And it's one of these very strange Cinderella stories where, all of a sudden you think it's like this rags to riches kind of, I'm going to save the world story, but that's how it turned out. So many different dramas you can't even imagine. Like the whole, Biden-Trump thing, that was me. That's another, you don't need to. Anyways, so beyond those little fires that were erupting all over the place, not just to get Biden elected, it wasn't that I was changing. I was using magic to wake people up. It felt like so many people were sleeping and being brainwashed. And so it wasn't that I needed, the Democrats to win because I'm a Democrat. No, it was, I feel like everybody's sleeping and they're not making the choices that they would ultimately make if they were awake. So my whole magic, all the magic that I was very, diligent about trying to figure out where the problem was, it was, I will be done. So I'll do the best that I can do with whatever universe is telling me, and then that's all I can do. And then, obviously, after he was elected, then there was the fear of he wasn't gonna, that, there was gonna be some kind of civil upheaval. Obviously we had that, in January, beginning of January, the insurrection. And so the fear of, what was to happen, that was also another anyways, so that all worked out smooth because I was on that campaign as well. Anyways, after that all, after Joe Biden was sworn in and I was in the Infinity Chamber just crying, spent the entire inauguration in my Infinity Chamber listening to, Lady Gaga and Jennifer Lopez and Garth Brooks and Joe Biden's speech inside my Infinity Chamber. Just, oh my God, it was just like rocket, energetically it was just rocking. And so the Infinity Chamber, if you're new to the story, is what my destiny, the vehicle that my destiny presented itself to me from. And so it's basically sort of like a cage, like a dog cage, a grate. And it's filled with mirrors and prisms and lights and crystals and water. And what was revealed to me is, so my destiny is interdimensional travel. That's what I knew. Somehow I didn't know how this chamber was going to get me there. I just knew that I didn't have to worry about that. All I had to do was listen and see what they wanted me to build. And there's so much about this education with my spirit guides. They don't just tell me facts. They have me figure things out. So they sort of put this image, blurry sort of image in my head. And then I have to create it. And they're not telling me how to create it. I have to meditate on, and it's not just that I have to create it, I have to create it with things that are easily accessible. So it's not like I can just like go on Amazon and say, oh, yo, I need an infinity chamber. No, I have to do the hard work. And I don't have any kind of background in engineering or mathematics or science or quantum. I loved what the bleep we know, but, I only know the most infinitesimal fraction of a percent, So how, the whole idea is how in the world. Anyways, long story short, it hasn't in the last year and, few months since I was pandemically, and still am pandemically unemployed. I've been learning so much, not just about the construction of interdimensional travel, but how to rewire, reprogram, release the emotions and the thoughts, what is my potential? Is it hard and fast? Or, is there more to me than I can even comprehend? There's a lot of inner work, healing, challenges, pushing myself higher, beyond, challenging every fear, even if I don't understand. I don't understand, so I haven't. The whole essence is that my spirit guides aren't these sort of pop in, pop out kind of, committed teachers. Initially, when a message comes through me, and I, go on my Facebook page, and I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure I sound like a total loon. And people are like, oh boy, that's Sandra. It was, gonna have to start getting a straitjacket for her. But what happens is, it makes sense to me when these messages sort of like, flood through me. And without understanding why, or, like the big picture, I just boom, boom, boom. Because the scientist in me is not only wanting to inspire people to listen to and tap into this, there's this connection, there's this voice. You don't have to be, in a box. You don't have to numb yourself, Not only am I trying to inspire and entertain a little bit, oh, look at Sandra, she's really going off the deep end now. It's like a car crash, I guess. You just can't, look away. But what my teachers do, which time and time again has built that sense of trust, as they realign the entire planet to corroborate the craziness that I was spouting, maybe the day before or 2 days before. And so in that moment when people are like, oh my God, what's she saying now? Very soon, they don't make me wonder or squirm, they just boom. They rearrange the universe to where they give me some kind of new part of the story that not only corroborates the initial craziness, But you can see how this story is moving forward. So there's the part of me that wants to keep notes for posterity. You know, this is how I got to where I'm getting. You know, not even knowing where I'm going. You know, if I'm going right off a cliff or in the loony bin or in someplace great. But the best thing is that when your happiness, when like I feel a purpose. I feel a purpose. And so I feel a purpose. I can tell my phone is in low power mode. So I'm going to have to plug it in. But, wow, there's more to the story. And so what I will tell you in part 2, oh gosh, she's one of those, is how me crashing this Angelversary for Mark and Jacob Iskander, the 2 boys that were tragically killed in the hit and run accident by the wife. Anyways, that is another sad story, because this poor family whose 2 children were killed so quickly, there has been no justice. There was a $2 million bond that was given to the woman, and they immediately met it. But this was a year ago today, September 29th, and there still has not been a trial. There was supposed to be one in the summer, and then the defense pushed it back, and there was supposed to be one coming up right now, and the defense pushed it back. And so now the trial is scheduled for December of 2021. So this poor family hasn't even been able to put that behind them. The fact that there's darkness in this world that is dominating in a situation as this one. The reason why this video is so exciting is because whatever that is, the light is coming through full force. Jacob Iskander, or Mark Iskander, the older one. Oh my God, see, I don't even know. I think it's Mark. It's Mark. He actually, what I found out is he is the reason why I was meant to crash. Crash their Angelversary. So you can say, wow, that Mark Iskander, he is tapping in. He is cut on the other side. He is making his voice heard on his Angelversary. Stay tuned. I need to plug this thing in.